Yeah, welcome to Ringside Report. I am Dave Simon. Fred Garcia and AJ DeLezio are here with me via satellite. I'm here at the Ringside Report Network home studios. We've got AJ, we've got Freddie. What's up, guys? How you guys doing?
Pretty good, man, and disappointed at the same time.
Yeah, of course. We've got a lot of MMA to get to. We've got a lot of big news coming up here in mixed martial arts in the UFC. There's still stuff going on in the UFC, or kind of. At least there's news. We were supposed to be talking about some fights right now as the UFC was trying to put on UFC 249 next weekend, April 18th. Tony Ferguson and Justin Gaethje was going to be the main event, but we find out that that is now canceled. ESPN asking the UFC to cancel the event, and now there's no UFC 249, and there's no UFC for at least a month. According to Dana White, they have something called Fight Island in the works. They have some sort of private island that they've purchased, and they're going to start doing fights there. It sounds it sounds like a movie, but I assure you this is real, according to the president of the UFC. But there will be no UFC 249. He was trying to get these fights done at the Tachi Palace Casino in Northern California on a reserve. But unfortunately, ESPN pulling the plug, saying, please, UFC, do not do this event. It's just not safe. So the UFC 249 card that was supposed to be, that looked pretty good, quite frankly. It was a pretty solid fight card. We were going to do a watch-along. We had big plans. But all that scratched. No more UFC. No UFC 249. It's just not happening. Fred?
I was for a couple of weeks.
Oh, we're having problems with Fred.
Yeah,
Fred's
can you hear me,
freezing
Dave?
out. AJ, I can hear you. Let's go to AJ. We'll try and fix Fred's line here.
You know what, Dave? I'll tell you this. I'm in as much shock as everybody else because we just found out this was not taking place about an hour ago, and you know what? That took away our whole script. I mean, we had a full script tonight, ready to go with like the breakdown for UFC 249. We were going to talk about all like the changing of the card and Gaethje, how he's going to come in and it was going to be a firefight card and amazing event. But the truth of the matter is now, I'm in shock like everybody else. The fight is over. So much hype coming into this 249. Dana doing everything he could in his powers above to make this thing happen. Even going as far as Fantasy Island with Tattoo, I imagine, as the host, and it's not happening. Damn it!
Freddie,
So much for the hype.
Freddie's back. Freddie, what do you think? UFC 249 canceled. Disappointed? You think it's the right move? What do you think?
Oh, very disappointed. For the last couple of weeks, I was of the opinion that the UFC should probably not do any shows. But when Dana White went forward with his plan, I was like, okay, I'm backing Dana. We need somebody to get back to normal life, and UFC it is. And now that it's been canceled, an hour and a half ago, I'm kind of bummed.
Yeah, it's definitely disappointing, man. I thought we were going to have some fights next weekend. We saw a senator from California saying that it was the wrong move, that they shouldn't do it. And now ESPN, who has the pay-per-view rights for the UFC in the United States, who is the major TV carrier for the UFC, all UFC shows go through ESPN, and they're saying, we don't want this. Mickey Mouse pulled the plug here, guys. He doesn't want this show. He doesn't want it to happen.
Mickey!
The mouse said no to the UFC. He's like, nope, it's not happening. And there we have it.
Not even in the clubhouse.
Yeah, not even at Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. Yeah,
the mouse beat the rat.
Yeah, that's right. The mouse took out the UFC. We were going to have Tony Ferguson and Justin Gaethje. That fight was going to determine a number one contender and an interim UFC lightweight champion. The winner was going to fight Khabib. Dana White was talking about that fight taking place in September even, which is earlier than we thought that Khabib might be returning. Yeah, whatever, AJ. It doesn't matter because it's not going to happen. All of this is moot. Maybe Tony Ferguson and Khabib could fight on Fight Island in September. You know, maybe that'll happen. That's possible. But this card
with
was
Ricardo
supposed to,
Montalban.
yeah, who knows? This card was supposed to have Jairzinho Rosenstruck versus Francis Ngannou, Jacare and Uriah Hall, Rose Namajunas and Jessica Andrade. Like, this was going to be a good card, not to mention the main event, Tony Ferguson versus Justin Gaethje. And now we don't have this. You know, I'm pretty disappointed overall. I understand why they're not doing it. I think it was probably a risky move. I don't know if it was the right move. I'm not too sure. Dana White seemed to think it was the right move, and if the fighters want to go ahead and do it, you know, we were going to watch, and we were going to be pretty hyped to watch this great UFC card. But unfortunately, it's not happening, and you know, I'm not. It's hard to know how to feel about it because on the one hand, it's like, yeah, man, it sucks that they canceled the UFC card, but on the other hand, it's like, yeah, I also understand why, right? You get why.
I get why, but the thing. Go ahead, Fred.
Well, I was going to say, what's even more interesting is I wonder who has enough power to convince Dana White that, no, Dana, you're wrong. You know, like this had to be somebody very big within the ABC, ESPN family because it's all the same family. It had to be somebody with a lot of pull that told Dana White, like, no, you're not going to do this because Dana White was pretty hard-headed on his opinion of going on. And was it the right decision? Look, I don't know, man. I'm of the opinion right now that the world needs to try to continue still. So these fights in a closed circuit was something that I was down with, that I thought was still a good idea. And like I said last week, I don't think there's a shortage of fighters that want to fight. Fighters want to make money. So I don't think that would have been an issue either. I'm kind of bummed. I hope, look, there's still hope that there might be some fights coming soon. It's just not going to happen April 18th.
Yeah, and Dana White is saying that it's probably going to happen in a month, and when they do happen, they'll be on Fight Island.
Can't wait. But Dave, on another note, I mean, ABC, the Boxing Commission, actually was going to sanction this fight. And there was a lot of support from the Tai Chi Palace Resort, which is on Tribal Island, which is a Native American resort. There was a lot of support. The fighters, like you said, Freddie, were behind. I heard Wonder Boy Thompson about Dana White and the security measures he took. I mean, really, this fight was going to take place. But whoever these powers were, obviously Mickey Mouse and Club, came down on Dana with an offer he had to refuse. There was an offer he had to refuse. That's serious business.
Look, I think that there was a PR situation here because a story came out in the Wall Street Journal that said that the UFC had a contract with ESPN for 2020 that stipulates they put on 42 events this year. And the UFC has done 8 shows this year. So they had 8 months to put on 35 shows. And I think ESPN said, look, UFC, we can work a deal out. We can extend this contract. Don't worry about it. Because if we start putting on fights and people start getting coronavirus, well, that's going to be a real black eye for not only the UFC, but for ESPN as well, who's putting these shows on, who's sanctioning these events, who's allowing them to go on their network, right? So I think that there was an issue there as soon as that story came out. I think that a lot of this was PR. I think that the UFC was probably going to be able to put these fights on. I mean, look at what the WWE is able to do, what AEW is able to do. They're able to put on pro wrestling shows. They're able to put on TV shows, you know, and, you know, it's a form of combat sports. Of course, it's not a real fight, and the risks are different, but at the same time, they're able to do this. So I think that there is a way to put on a show like this. If you're the UFC, it's just the way that they approached it. They were a little bit too bold. I think Dana was maybe a little bit too bold. I'm hearing different things about, you know, if maybe Dana had approached this a little differently, that he would have been able to get away with it. I think that there are a few factors here. I think that ESPN definitely took a hit when that Wall Street Journal article came out with the contract issue and saying, well, the reason why the UFC is putting on so much pressure to make these events is because they owe this to ESPN, which really puts a lot of the guilt on ESPN. And now that ESPN comes out and says, yo, we're pulling the plug, Dana said he talked to the big bosses at Disney, the big wigs everywhere, and he said, look, this isn't happening. He was told that it wasn't going to go down, and I think that's really why this thing isn't happening. I think it's more of an ESPN PR deal than UFC or the state of California or anything like that. I really think ESPN pulling the plug was because they were starting to feel pressure of, hey, are you guys forcing the UFC to put on this event?
But let's give a little bit of props at the same time to ESPN, because they could have weaseled out of paying some money to the UFC by forcing the UFC to put on some shows to respect the contract. And at the same time, ESPN, they came to some sense, if you want, and hopefully all this gets resolved. But hey, at the same time, I'm going to take the opportunity to correct something I said last week. Last week I was saying NBA players are not getting paid currently. It's not actually true. Right now, the NBA players are still getting paid, but they're negotiating with the commissioner, because there is a clause in pretty much all these collective bargains that if some type of great emergency, let's say a earthquake that would destroy a lot of stuff, or a pandemic, there's clauses in these collective bargains for the owners to get out of paying the players. So right now in the NBA, they're actually negotiating whether or not they're going to be getting paid, and the owners have offered the players to give them 50% of their salary right now, and the players have counter offer with wanting 75. But in the end, the owners have a clause where, look, if nobody's making money, people are going to want to save money. So at the end, ESPN, props for them to right now push things away. But hey, at some point, everybody's going to be wanting to protect their investment, and it's going to be interesting how it goes.
But Freddie, with the UFC, it's a different story, because there was a contract signed for 2020, which meant that they had to do approximately 40 fights before the end of the year, which at this point, the promotion, the numbers are showing that they could have earned close to $750 million if this carried through. And I agree with Dave. There must have been a readjustment in the contract to extend it further. But you know what? If the UFC would have been on the track right now, they would have been closer to $1 billion by the end of 2020 than what they were at anywhere close to in the number of years in the past. So, you know what? Look, Dana White came out and said he's going to take care of all the fighters, all the people that supported him, including the Tai Chi Palace, because the Tai Chi Palace really helped him out. And he says the next big fight is going straight there, which actually was a big supporter of combat sports back in the past, if I'm not mistaken.
Sure, and it's great that they were willing to stick their neck out for the UFC, and that the UFC is going to repay them in some way going forward. But we still have no fights. We still have no fights for a month, and that's the situation. Dana White says it's not happening for another month, and I want to play a little bit of Dana White here for you, let you hear it straight from Dana White talking to Brett Okamoto here of ESPN. Let's see if we can get this going here.
When will Fight Island actually be in a position where they can host events?
Well, that's happened. See, that's why I'm telling all of my guys not to worry, because Fight Island's going to happen. It's obviously still being, all the infrastructure is being built right now and getting put in place. As we get closer to that, then I'll start figuring out booking fights, getting guys ready. Plus, I can ship guys over there earlier, and they can start training over there on the island. So once that's all in place, you're looking at a month. A month, I'll have that all put together, and guys can start training and can go there. I'm sure people are going to be ready to get out of their houses in another month and, go to an island somewhere and train. And so that's all coming together. It's all going to happen. I could go next week, but, this is what it is, and I'll see you in a month.
There it is, UFC president. It is what it is. I'll see you in a month when Fight Island is built, which I think is kind of a cool concept. He's seen what the WWE has done with their own facility. He's seen what's possible, and I think he's trying to figure out a way to do it. But the problem is with the difference between pro wrestling and, the UFC is that it's a real sport regulated by the government. and you need an athletic commission, and you need a lot of things to go on. I don't know how safe it is for the fighters necessarily fighting on something called Fight Island. It seems like something from some sort of Mortal Kombat movie. You know, it's weird, and I'm skeptical about this. I've been skeptical the whole way. You know, I've been here saying I'm not sure UFC 249 is really going to take place. I think that it was probably not a smart move. Everybody's staying at home. Like, we haven't left our homes for how many weeks now, guys? I mean, we're doing the show remotely. I haven't seen you guys in person in over a month now. It's crazy. And, you know, they're talking about doing professional MMA fights. Like, it doesn't compute. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me that while this is going on over here in my world, that you could still be holding UFC events. So the fact that they're still trying to put them on, I was excited about it as a UFC fan, but also very skeptical that it was going to go down. Now that it's not happening, it's like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. And this Fight Island thing, I'm not sure we ever actually see a UFC fight really take place on Fight Island. What do you guys think? You guys think that Fight Island is actually going to be a thing? You guys think there's going to be one event held on Fight Island? I do not. I don't think that this is going to happen ever. They might do it one time, you know, just as a spectacle, but not like under these coronavirus conditions. No one's doing this. It's not happening. Rose Namajunas was supposed to be on the co-main event of this card. She had 2 deaths in her family related to coronavirus and decided to pull out of her fight with Jessica Andrade. So that just tells you where some of the fighters are. It's not happening, man. Fight Island is not going to be a thing. I am willing to bet a dozen bagels when this world is corona-free, and then you can send me the bagels, AJ, because I know you believe in Fight Island, but I'm telling you, there's going to be no Fight Island. It's not going to happen.
The plane, the bus, the plane. Listen, it's very simple. Thompson, you don't know that. You're too young to understand that quote. Freddie
I don't
knows
really
what I'm talking
understand.
about.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Boss, the plane. You don't remember that? Tattoo? Fantasy Island? Come on, Dave.
I'm too young for
Anyways,
that, dude.
Man, oh man. I was gonna say this. Fantasy Island is going to be a real island. Dana White has the money, the power, and the people behind them keep saying it over and over. If anybody's going to pull this off, it's going to be Dana, because he's a month away from he had the whole structure going and everything apparently. And Wonderboy Thompson actually said it. If he said that Dana could pull this off. Listen, I'm going to listen to the fighters.
What do you mean you're going to listen to the fighters?
I'm going to listen with the fighters. They know. They listen. They only have great praise for Dana. From the guys that I was listening to, love Dana. Nagano, Thompson, and the rest, they're all behind Dana. And
So
they get treated very well by Dana.
UFC fighters are saying nice things about Dana White in public? That's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, why would they ever do that, AJ? There's
Their
definitely
boss.
nothing. Yeah, there's nothing in it
there's
for
other
them
people that
financially or otherwise to say good things about Dana White. What are you talking about, AJ?
Dana's going to get Fantasy Island, and you're going to see, Dave. And I'm going to bet you those dozen bagels because I know it's happening.
All right,
I'll tell you what,
yeah,
it might
Fred.
happen, but I'll predict that the next event that the UFC does is not on some island. I predict it's on U.S. soil somewhere, but it won't be on an island. But I do like the idea, which could make some type of reality show, like put the Ultimate Fighter on that island.
Yes.
I'll watch that maybe.
Yes, do a
Probably
tournament
not, but
on the island, something. If you're going to build an island fight location, okay, do it, but do it with a sanctioned body, do it with real judges, with real officials, with real referees. Do it properly. Don't do it under these weirdo conditions if you're going to do some sort of Fight Island. I think the concept is cool, but right now it's not going to happen. And I agree with Fred. The next fight in the United States or the next UFC fight will happen on U.S. soil. I don't think it's going to be for another couple of months at least. I don't even know if it happens in the month of May. I hope it does. I really do, guys. I hope it does for us, for all UFC fans, for the Ringside Report Network, for the universe, but I'm not sure that it goes down until at least June or July. That's my take on it. I just want to give a shout-out to everybody on the chat. Patrick C. Hamilton on the Super Chat thanking us for the show. Thank you, Patrick. Thank you to Antoinette as well, thanking us for a great show. Thank you to Antoinette on the Super Chat. Mark Renault is on the show. Woods MMA. Johnny North is on the chat right now. Daniel Winston. Shout out to Daniel Winston out in Texas, our main man. So definitely thanks, everybody, for watching the show live right now. If you're not watching the show live, if you're listening to this show on the radio or on a podcast, you can watch the show live at ringsidereport.net. You could go to our YouTube channel, like the page, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment. And as you can tell, man, working from home, the kids are always showing up. I don't want him on camera right now because he's not wearing pants. We're trying to potty train this guy. And he's not wearing any kind of pants. That's right. My son just burst into the studio, and that happened several times during the show. It'll definitely happen again before the end of the show.
Way to go, Zevi.
But I got to make sure that he doesn't appear on camera tonight because he's like nude from the waist down because we're trying to potty train him, and that's an adventure in itself. So that's what we're doing during this isolation time. We're potty training a nearly 3-year-old boy.
That's all right. We've all been through that.
Hey, Dave, I was going to say, right now, this week, I mean, with Dana White, pretty much he had his pants down, so I guess it's Bill today.
Yeah, I didn't really catch that, AJ.
You didn't get
I think he's referencing the sex tape, if anything.
Oh,
but I'm going to just say one last thing, though, before we leave. Before we change subject, MLB also this week was talking about, like, having their season, like, all their teams play in Arizona. So all these sports leagues are trying to figure out a way to have some type of action to go. And you say June, July, I bet at the latest in June we have a UFC event. That's my prediction. At the latest in June we have one.
I'd say it's the earliest in June.
Empty stadium, but we'll have something by June.
I hope so. I hope you're right.
Look, the WWE pulled it off, and they did it pretty well, and I'm kind of surprised that the UFC wasn't able to pull this one off. I was so sure that this was going down. We all did. I mean, our whole night here has been changed from the script that we were supposed to talk about to basically talking about, like, what the heck. So, I mean, there's a lot of people that purchased probably the pay-per-view, like, for the 18th, ready to go, and it kind of sucks, it really does. And what sucks more is for the fighters like Ferguson, because you're looking at Ferguson now, who has probably the most cursed fighting fight nights than anybody. I mean, he's gone down 5 times and now it's 6 times with the UFC. I mean, this poor guy, I mean, it's just a shame.
Yeah, it's too bad for Tony Ferguson. It's too bad for that Tony Ferguson-Khabib Nurmagomedov fight. I have no idea when that fight will ever take place. It is the fight that we need to see, hopefully September. I think that things will be back to something in September. I think we'll be back to fighting in the UFC in September. I don't know if we'll be back to normal life, though, for another... Who knows, guys? Who knows, right? We have
what
no
a roller
idea.
coaster. What a roller coaster. I mean, I went from, like, this morning saying, I'm so happy to see Ferguson fighting Gaethje because it's going to open up the possibility for Conor to be fighting Khabib sometime in late August or September. And I said this was perfect. The stars are all aligned and everything was looking great for Dana because he's looking at it as, wow, this is going to be amazing. And now, like, everything is down the drain.
And I really already had They even had, like, Dominic Cruz replacing Jose Aldo. So, like, I was also like, oh, man, yes, sir. They're already planning the next event. Like, we're not even only talking about 249. We're talking about 250. So, yeah, I was all, like, hyped that also the UFC was going to go on with business. It's unfortunate.
Can we talk about UFC 250 as well? Like, what's the deal with UFC 250? People are acting like that's going to happen?
Well, before this announcement of 249 being canceled, they were already, like, replacing Jose Aldo. I'm not sure why, but Jose Aldo was pulling out of the fight against Henry Cejudo, and Dominic Cruz was going to replace him. That's what the reports were.
It's because he can't get a visa because you can't enter the United States from Brazil right now. I mean, that's why. A Shogun was supposed to be on the card, I'm seeing, and pretty much all of the Brazilian contingent that was supposed to show up for UFC 250 is off. So Jose Aldo, now this was supposed to be May 9th in Sao Paulo, Brazil. So you know this was going to be a Brazil-heavy card. There's going to be a lot of Brazilians on this thing. But now, I mean, you could move Tony Ferguson in theory to this card, but who knows where this thing will actually take place or if it'll take place, because May 9th, 2020 was the scheduled date for UFC 250. UFC 249 is canceled. ESPN said nope, but we haven't heard anything about UFC 250. Now, in this province where we live, our premier said that May 4th will be the day possibly when we might be able to get back to a little bit of normal business. Maybe. Some non-essential, whatever. Some businesses might start being able to open up. We might start to slowly crawl back to normal life. So maybe May 9th, the UFC could do a fight somewhere. I don't know. We don't know, man. It's very hard to tell if these things are possible at all given the current state of coronavirus and whatever. So May 9th, UFC 250, right now the word is Dominic Cruz is going to step in and replace Jose Aldo, because that was the first thing that we heard about this thing was that, well, it was supposed to be Jose Aldo versus Henry Cejudo in the main event, but Jose Aldo couldn't make it out of Brazil for some reason due to a visa issue, and they were going to replace him with Dominic Cruz. Cool, we have a fight. But now we're hearing that, well, all the Brazilian fighters are actually not able to make it to the United States because Shogun was supposed to fight Rogerio Nogueira on this card, Ketlin Vieira, Betch Correia, Augusto Sakai. A bunch of these fighters were supposed to be on this card from Brazil, and now, because they're in Brazil, they can't make it to the United States. Now, fortunately, Brazilian fighter Amanda Nunes lives in the United States full-time, so if this fight does take place, she'll be able to main event against Felicia Spencer. If that still winds up being the main event, who knows? Maybe you stick Ferguson and Gaethje on this card. You do Ferguson, Gaethje, Nunes, Spencer, and Cejudo versus Cruz. That would be a pretty sick triple main event. You could add some other fights, Ngannou and Rosenstruck, whatever, some leftovers from 249. Maybe you get Tyron Woodley to fight because he was supposed to fight, back in March in London. There are a lot of fighters now. The good thing about this is that a lot of these fighters and a lot of these fights are adding up because we're not having these events spread out. So when they do come back, they could do a pretty sick card. It's not like they're going to have a limit to how many fighters or how many cool fights they're going to be able to put on this thing. It's just when can this actually happen? UFC 250, May 9th. I'm going to call it right now. Guys, canceled. I'm canceling it. It's not happening.
May 9th.
I'm agreeing with you, Dave. It's just a reevaluation for the fifth here in Canada anyways. It's not an actual step where everyone's back to normal life. It's really a reevaluation. People are talking June 1st, and then you have other people saying, if they don't have this cure, which could take between 6 and 12 months, things cannot really get back into order. I mean, it's really messed up. No one knows the truth. But the only thing I know is that I tip my hat to all the medical doctors and nurses and home care workers and all the rest, because these are the real fighters. And to be honest, man, I hope when Dana White comes back, that some of these proceeds could go back into the medical fields and helping out with a lot of these people that have really taken a hit. So in a way, you know what?
So you're advocating communism right now?
Fred.
Oh man, I'm just. I'm advocating, that, what?
Why should Dana White be giving his profits, man? Dana's been losing so much money in the last month, man.
That's true. Good point.
Think about Dana here.
Think about Dana.
Listen, Dana's done a lot of stuff in the past. He's brought out the military to fights for free. He's done a lot of stuff. So maybe, he's probably going to do something like that, depending on what city he's hosting a fight. Dana is good for that.
Yeah. Dana has done a lot of stuff in the past, AJ. You are right. Let's talk about something that Dana White has done in the past. A sex tape, okay? Let's talk about that. When we come back,
you're harsh.
When we come back, we got to take a short pause for the radio side here. It is Ringside Report. We are live on YouTube every Thursday night at 8 p.m. RingsideReport.net is the website. Go there, check us out, like the video, super chat, hit that button on the bottom. Anything you want us to talk about at any time, hit that super chat. We got your back. Ringside Report, more UFC, the Dana White sex tape, and the extortion case when we come back.
Pull your pants up.
My goodness. When you guys hear this story, when I give this story to you, I think MMA media is scared to talk about this. No one's talking about this. I feel like this would be a bigger story right now, but I'm not seeing it really being played out. I put out a tweet earlier, and I was like, yeah, Dana White's sex tape. And somebody's like, what sex tape? I'm like, you got to listen to find out. I guess people don't know about this thing, but this story, it's a hell of a story.
Do you think
Luckily,
anything could have been tied?
I don't consider myself part. I don't consider myself part of the media, so I'm not afraid of it.
Exactly. Me neither. I mean, I kind of work full-time in the media, but for some reason I don't consider myself part of it. I don't know why.
But it's public news. It's not like it's not out there. I mean, it has been out there. It hasn't been really pushed that much. But, yeah, it is pretty scandalous if it is true.
It is.
I want to see the videotape, man. I say we post it.
What do you mean?
Didn't you see what happened to Gawker and Hogan, man?
Yeah, exactly.
Didn't you see what happened with a Hogan sex tape, man? If you get the video, don't post it, man.
Why not? Think of the ratings.
No, we cannot post the
Come
video.
on, Dave.
That's ridiculous, AJ. That's absolutely ridiculous.
Listen, you remember the Pamela Anderson tape way back?
Yeah.
Her career went up.
You know how Dana White could have avoided this? With IP Vanish. If Dana White had a VPN, he could have avoided this whole situation. Now, these days, security on the internet is a major concern. Identity fraud, theft, and privacy are preoccupations that hackers are at home to now with time on their hands, and they've got nothing better to do than to try and attack you. Now, these hackers who spend their days lurking to find someone they can attack, they can get access to all of your stored information, passwords, credit cards. Now keep them out with a secure VPN like IP Vanish. You need IP Vanish now 73% off until the end of April. Instead of $143.88 for a year, pay just $39 for the first year. That's an incredible deal. With this offer, IP Vanish is throwing in 250 gigabytes of secure cloud storage. You can back up all of your important data to the cloud at no extra charge. This is an outstanding deal for the Ringside Report universe. I tell you, 73% off anything, I'm buying it. This is a great deal, especially for this really solid product. IP Vanish, we need you to stay healthy and secure, and that's why we recommend what we use, which is IP Vanish. Now sign up right now by opening up a new browser window. Go to vpn.ringsidereport.net. If you sign up for a subscription, that'll include a 7-day money-back guarantee using our link. The Ringside Report Network will receive a small commission that'll help us produce more content. Now remember to use the link and let IP Vanish know that we sent you. That's vpn.ringsidereport.net. IP Vanish. And I made you guys vanish when I did that, too. Guys?
Yeah, I'm just wondering what AJ's doing.
I don't know what AJ's doing. We never know what AJ's doing.
Listen, man, that was perfect. Dave, bravo to you. It was awesome. If Dana White would have used IP Vanish, he would have been perfect. But no, he has to use this cheap stuff.
That's
and
right.
Then people can get into his phone, and then bada bing, bada boom, he's out all over the net.
That's right.
For guys like us to play his tape.
So use IP Vanish because it is a great product, and we appreciate you guys supporting the Ringside Report Network. And I know that you guys are supporting the Ringside Report Network by super chatting, and we appreciate that very much. And I know that a lot of you have been supporting the network as well by using Stitcher. Now, this is great. I know I've been getting the feedback from Stitcher, and it's been fantastic. So thank you, everybody, for signing up for Stitcher Premium. If you haven't signed up, now is the time. You got nothing else to do. It's such a great product. At the Ringside Report Network, we've been making podcasts for about 15 years now, and a lot of you have been using Stitcher to stream or download the shows, Wrestling Uncensored, Ringside Report, MMA. Stitcher is offering you the Ringside Report universe as part of their sponsorship of our work, a special offer on the premium version of their service. Now, besides all of our podcasts, you can listen to over 100,000 podcasts on your iPhone, Android, tablet, PC, Amazon Echo device, or in your car, on demand, ad-free with Stitcher Premium. They've got Joe Rogan Experience, Something to Wrestle with Bruce Pritchard, Jim Cornette, Grilling JR, all sorts of great podcasts, Stitcher Originals, bonus episodes, comedy albums, and more. Just $4.99 a month or $34.99 a year. That's a fantastic deal. You go to Stitcher.com/premium to sign up today, and if you use the special promo code Ringside, you'll get a free month of Stitcher Premium, and it'll help out the Ringside Report Network. So you go to Stitcher.com/premium, use the promo code Ringside, and Stitcher will kick back a little bit to help us keep doing shows like this for you. And I got some, feedback from Stitcher, getting some money from Stitcher. Guys are signing up. Fantastic. Great deal. Thank you very much, everybody, for hooking us up.
Thank you
Awesome,
very much.
Dave. You're so good at that.
Thank you.
We need more.
Dave, I had a baseball question for you, man.
Okay.
How you feel about Rob Manfred saying, like, if there's no baseball this year, the Astros are not going to get an extra year? Like, all the guys that are suspended for a year, AJ Hinch, the general manager, that's going to count as their suspension. That's what Rob Manfred said.
That's fucking bullshit, Rob Manfred. What the fuck is that?
I'm just trying to get you riled up, but he did say that.
Oh, I wanted baseball to happen so badly this year just so people could boo the Astros. I just wanted to see the Astros have to go to the Bronx and suffer the wrath of the Bronx fans. But now, you won't be able to fill Yankee Stadium. Everybody's got to be 6 feet apart. Who's going to the Bronx now? You want to go to a full Yankee Stadium? I wouldn't go to a game all season. Forget that. There's talk that they're going to do baseball in an empty stadium with the players sitting in the crowd in Arizona, right? They're going to play baseball. The players aren't going to be in the dugout. They're going to be sitting in the crowd all spread out from each other. They're going to have some sort of electronic umpire, so the umpire doesn't have to stand so close to the catcher. It's going to be super weird. But what about the catcher and the batter? They're right next to each other.
I don't know, but I've always said, like, baseball is the first sport where you could have robot refs, man. That would be the first and easiest one to implement.
But if you don't want your umpire right behind the catcher, well, what about the catcher and every hitter on the team? On the other team, right?
You could always put a mask on the catcher. He already
the catcher already has a mask, Fred.
Yeah, well, you just put it a little bit more like medical.
That doesn't count. I don't think that would work. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, but it doesn't work either way, because when a Mason trying to steal or he runs on a hit, he might be tagged out. So, like, what happens there? And the collisions and all that kind of stuff, forget it, man. It's not happening.
I wouldn't want to tag anybody out. I'd be like, I'm not coming near you. No way.
Plus, we know pitchers, man. They'll all type of substance on that ball. So, like that.
Yeah, you're right, Freddie.
On
Good
the ball.
Imagine a spitball now. You'd be running away from it.
Especially if you get hit in the eye or something. Forget it.
And this is coming from guys that watch, like, grappling and do grappling. We're judging the other sports.
When's the next time? When's the next time you're gonna go into a jiu-jitsu gym and some guy you don't know is like, "Hey, man, you want to roll?" And you're like, "Okay, cool." Like, when's the next time you're gonna feel comfortable?
I'm down.
You're down to roll with a stranger right now? I'm not, man. I'm only rolling with people that I've rolled with before for the next, like, a couple of months at least. If I do any jiu-jitsu, like if jiu-jitsu comes back and gyms open up in May, say, I'm only rolling with people I know. I'm not rolling with anybody I don't know that I don't know where they've been. Forget about it. No.
Dave, the funny thing is in grappling, I mean, you're grappling a guy, and how many times does it happen where you're rolling and all of a sudden the guy's sweat goes into your mouth?
Yeah.
Like, or drops into your mouth. It happens all the time. And, I mean,
It's
we get a lot of funky things in wrestling. But right now, you know what? I'm going to be a little nervous to grapple with someone I don't know.
Right. Me too, man. See?
We have
Fred, we're not
we only
crazy.
have to worry
I'm telling
about
you.
Listen, man, you
What's
have
the
to worry about
difference between
staff.
somebody you don't know and you know? I mean, it's about symptoms. It's not about who you know.
Well, because somebody I know, like I could kind of check up where they've been, and I could tell, like I don't know.
It's
False
true,
sense
man.
of
It's
security.
psychological.
That's what
too.
I would say.
Well, yeah, some of it's psychological
listen,
too,
man.
but hey, forget about it. That's something that counts for
It's-
something.
I need to do
Man,
jiu-jitsu,
oh man.
Me
I
too.
wish right now my 21-year-old would still live in my house because I would force him to do jiu-jitsu.
Right? I stopped rolling with my brother. He's not coming over to roll. I don't see my brother. I don't see anybody. Sucks.
It's gonna be crazy times when we go back to the gym, man. Everybody is gonna either be like really good because they've had a
And I'm
training partner, or they're gonna be like super shit. Everybody's gonna digress.
I can't wait.
It's crazy.
I'm gonna send a shout out to all the martial arts gym owners out there because it's rough for them, man. Here in Quebec, they're forced
hard.
to be closed, and a lot of them think they might not be able to open before like September, which is like really hard on business, man.
It's going to put a lot of them out of business. It sucks.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
It's
I
sad.
mean, look. In fact, on Facebook, I saw a lot of like threads of exactly that, where some gym owners are like, "What the heck do we do, man? Like, we're in trouble. We're gonna have to close." And it's unfair. It's sad because a lot of hard work was put into opening up a gym and training people, and
Lifetime.
finally getting that groove.
Yeah.
And you're done. It's not easy. And in jiu-jitsu, it's like as a martial art, in wrestling, anything that has to do with close contact. It might be a little bit hard when we do come back. Just like you said, we're joking around about, like the spit and the sweat and the blood and all that kind of stuff, which happens. In our sport,
Yeah.
it's very close contact.
And we owe
So,
a
you know
lot,
what?
we owe a lot to these people that own these gyms. You know what I mean? Like we're not
Yep.
guys that own a gym. Like these guys are putting their necks on the line. They're putting their whole lives on the line, all their financial livelihood, to put this business on so that we can go and we can train and we could pick and choose. We could go to this gym, we could go to that gym, we could do whatever we want. They put everything into this, and now, they're in a really tough spot. So my heart hurts for the gym owners for sure who give us a place to practice what we love, right? Like it's sad, man. And for my gym, and I'm sure for you guys where you guys are training, like you guys are definitely thinking about the guys who own your gyms who right now aren't making any money, and you're wondering like, well, what's going to happen now when this is all over? When will this all end, and will the gym even be there when we come back, right? So it's sad, man, and I hope they're all right, and I hope, whatever we can do, as many people go sign up, go pay your gym membership, whatever, keep paying into your gym now so that you could keep your gym alive. If you're part of a gym and you're really, if you really support it and you really love your team and you love your gym, keep paying your dues, while this thing is going on. If you're paying month by month, pay this month, give the guy the money. If you can afford it, I would recommend that you do that just to kind of keep the solidarity with your gym, keep those gyms alive so that when we come back, we could still practice martial arts, so we could have this vibrant community that we have here, at least in Montreal. But I'm not just saying Montreal. I'm saying everywhere. I'm talking everywhere right now. If you're a martial arts guy, support your gyms because they're hurting right now, and we want them to be alive when all this is over.
Well said.
It's tough times, Dave.
Yeah, it is tough
very
times.
Good, man.
And
it's
we
a
appreciate,
respect.
we appreciate so much people supporting us during these tough times. Daniel Winston just dropped a super chat saying UFC 249 will not happen on April 18th. That's right. We talked about that earlier on in the show. And we appreciate everybody dropping the super chat. Wally, JC, Lee J. Robinson, Patrick Hamilton, Antoinette, Daniel Winston. We appreciate everybody supporting the Ringside Report Network during these tough times. I know it's rough out there for a lot of people. It hasn't been easy on any of us, and we're trying to make do, and we're trying to keep it going and put on shows each and every week, right? It's not going to stop. And, hey, we've got Dana White's sex tape to talk about, guys, so should we get into it?
Yeah,
Let's do it.
Absolutely,
All right.
Dave.
All right, let's do it here. 3, 2,
How do
1.
we start?
What? How do we start?
That's what
Did you
she
just
said.
ask me how do we start?
Or how did the sex tape start?
I don't know. I haven't seen it. All right, let's get back to it. Welcome back. It is Ringside Report. I'm Dave Simon. Fred Garcia's here. AJ DeLesio's here. We are on TSN 690 Radio every Friday night. Sorry, Wrestling Uncensored's on Saturday night. Ringside Report here every Friday night. With this, isolation, staying indoors, you kind of forget what day it is, right? You kind of forget what day is what, how many weeks we've been in this thing. UFC 249 is not happening on April the 18th. That's according to Dana White. Speaking of ESPN, we heard from the UFC president earlier talking about Fight Island. What we didn't hear from the UFC president was talk about extortion and a sex tape and Brazil and strippers. And that's what we're going to talk about here because that's the fun stuff. That's what all the other UFC shows, for some reason, are not talking about. I don't know why. I don't know why everybody's so scared to talk about Dana White's sex tape, but I think it's great. Look, he's a public persona. He's a personality. He's out there. Everybody knows Dana White. He puts himself out there as the figurehead of the UFC, and when something like this makes the news, well, we're going to talk about it. So, Ernesto Joshua Ramos is suing Dana White. Ramos claims that Dana White was supposed to give him $450,000 to not disclose his name after their criminal case. Now, Ramos tried to extort $200,000 from Dana White after Ramos's girlfriend secretly recorded Dana and herself having sexual relations in Brazil. Now, Ramos has done a year in jail for trying to extort this $200,000 from Dana White. Now, Ramos comes off like a terrible character, okay? Ramos makes Joe Exotic seem like the Pope here, okay? He seems terrible, right? So Ramos tried to extort Ramos's girlfriend. So Ramos's girlfriend is an exotic dancer who worked at the Spearmint Rhino in Las Vegas, okay? She is a stripper, okay? Dana White apparently was spending loads of cash on this lady at this strip club. Loads of cash.
Tell me more.
Okay?
Keep going,
so
Dave.
much
Keep
money.
going.
He was probably spending more than he spends on the whole UFC roster in a year on this lady, right? So Dana White was dropping big bucks, more than he drops in five nights of blackjack at the casino, right? So he's giving her big-time money. Dana White flew her out to Brazil. Dana White's married with kids, by the way. Just, by the way. Doesn't matter. I mean, it's fine. You know, they must have an arrangement because this is public record. Everybody knows about this. This was in Las Vegas news, and, Dana White is still married as far as we know. So who knows? No one knows anything about Dana White's wife or personal life, really. So Dana White flew this woman out to Brazil, had sexual relations with her. This was for a UFC event. He flew her out. She recorded it, sent it to her boyfriend, who then said, "Hey, Dana, I'm going to release this if you don't give me $200,000. Dana White said no, and he went to the police, and this guy did a year in jail for extortion. Now, apparently, Dana White was supposed to give this guy close to $500,000 in exchange for him not releasing his name to the public, not saying, oh, I did this, this is Dana White, this was what happened. But Dana White's like, no, and now the guy is suing Dana for the money that Dana supposedly promised him to not disclose his name. Like, could you believe that? Like, imagine I get some woman to have sex with Fred, okay? She tricks Fred into having sex. Okay, AJ. Let's say AJ, because AJ will be easier to trick, right? It'll be easier to trick AJ. So let's say...
No, it wouldn't be, because I'd show you the tape anyways.
Whatever. Listen, I'm paying a woman... This is hypothetical, AJ. Don't worry about it, okay? I'm
Okay,
paying
go.
a hypothetical woman in this hypothetical situation to have sex with you, okay? She's going to come back to me with the video of the sex, and I'm going to come to you and say, AJ, I want $200,000 from you, or I'm going to release this video. You go to the police send me to jail for a year. But in the deal, I said, hey, listen, man, if I go to jail here, I'm going to tell everybody that Dana White is the guy, and Dana White is doing this, and Dana White was doing this with my girlfriend and all of this. Unless you give me $450,000. And Dana White, and you are saying, okay, fine, I'll give you $450,000. Now, you don't give me the $450,000, so then I sue you for the $450,000. Like, what
I
kind
don't
of a
understand why he
scumbag
didn't
move
pay
is
the
that?
200.
What
Well,
do
I
you
mean,
mean?
why didn't he pay the 200 at the beginning if he was going to pay? Also, like that's my first
Well,
question.
exactly. It doesn't make any kind of sense. Like, if Dana White was going to pay this guy, why not just pay him the 200 grand and get it over with? Why does this guy think he's going to get 450 grand from Dana White? The whole story doesn't make any kind of sense. My point and my takeaway of this whole thing is that Dana White is spending a lot of money on strippers and flying them out to Brazil and getting secretly recorded, and people are using Dana White as an opportunity to try and make money. I think it's fascinating that this is the life of Dana White, that this is what he's doing.
But Dave, let's think about this. This could be all bullcrap too, because this same guy 5 years ago did the same thing. Who's to say this is true? It could be all like fictitious. You know what? It could just be some guy just claiming that he has the tape and all this kind of stuff. It might not be true. And Dana said it. He called it bullshit, and he says, you know what? This guy's tried to get 10 million from me 5 years ago, and here he is again. He's gonna get zero. And you know
So
what?
you're saying that the stripper didn't get? You're saying there's no tape? You're saying you don't believe
I'm
there's a
saying
tape?
that,
Because it certainly
no,
seemed like there
because-
was a tape. If the guy's going to jail for extortion, I feel like there's got to be a tape behind it. No?
nah, man. You know what? I think he tried to make a bullshit. Sorry for the expression.
Yeah,
tape
stop saying
an
that, please.
extortion
This is a
attempt.
radio show, AJ.
But listen to this. I'm sure he does know that stripper, and he does know this guy Ramos.
Okay, AJ.
And you know what? If there was more like more to it, there's a lot of people that are after Dana for his money, and I'm sure that would have came out.
AJ.
TMZ would have been all over him. So I don't believe it at all.
But if somebody trying to extort you for 200 grand, you're gonna probably ask for like at least a clip, you know. So I would think if Dana is willing to pay all this money, is that Dana knows that the tape is real. Like I don't know. If you have a doubt that there's a tape, like why would you be giving 400 grand?
Listen, it's not the first time that celebrities have paid out to these whack jobs for things that don't even exist. This has gone on for a long time. In the U.S., it's a lot different than it is in like Canada or certain parts of Europe. They'll just pay off these dummies so that they don't have to go through all this litigation and all these problems. But you know what? I really find it hard to believe that that Dana would put himself in such a compromising position, especially with the UFC. I'm not saying that things don't happen. I'm that if Dana was traveling with a so-called stripper and whatnot, I'm sure there would have been other people all over him trying to bring out those tapes, like TMZ does all the time. So I
I
find
mean,
this hard
Dana's
to
not
believe.
the only one.
Dana White, let's be clear, Dana White didn't pay out anything, and that's the issue here.
Exactly.
That's the situation. So the guy said he had a video of Dana White and this lady, his girlfriend, not Dana's girlfriend, this guy's girlfriend, Ernesto Joshua Ramos. He said he had this tape and he wanted 200 grand from Dana. Dana went to the cops. This guy did a year in prison, and now this guy is claiming that Dana was supposed to give him 450 grand to not reveal his name. So Dana and Dana and this guy's suing Dana for that money. So Dana has given this guy zero money, and I don't think he'll have to give this guy zero money. That doesn't mean that the video doesn't exist, however. That doesn't mean that Dana White isn't going to strip clubs and spending all this money on strippers and flying strippers out and being secretly recorded. Like, I'm not sure. It's hard to tell. Like, maybe we need a lawyer here. Like, what's the situation here? Like, if I tell you, AJ, that I have a video of you having sex with a stripper, you know that it never happened. But I say I have a video and I want $200,000 or I'm going to release it. Can I go to jail for extortion even if I don't really have any evidence to kind of back up my extortion claim? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not really sure how it works. I guess extortion is, hey, I come into your store and another form of extortion is I come into your store, I come into your business and I say, hey, it'd be bad if somebody threw a rock through that window or burned your place to the ground. Maybe if you gave me $250 for protection every week, everything would be all right. That's extortion as well. And there's no real
I don't
threat.
know,
Like,
Dave.
that's kind of a fictitious threat that's like, well, it might happen, it might not. But that's also extortion. I'm not really sure what the
Dave.
laws of extortion are. Like, does the guy have to have the tape in order for it to be a
No.
legit extortion thing? Or does he just have to say, yo, I have this tape, give me some money?
Yeah, that's
Look,
extortion. I mean, you don't have to have a tape.
Right.
If you're
So
trying
there's
to
no proof
extort
the tape
somebody out of
exists.
his money, exactly.
There's no proof
You know
the
what I'm
tape
going to do?
exists.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to talk to our lawyer friend, Fred Lawyer,
Fred Garcia?
and see what he thinks. Not Fred Garcia, Fred Markey
Okay.
Courchen.
Find
So
out.
what I'll do is I'll pose him this question. Why don't we bring him on air to find out what is legal or not?
We'll
Is
see
this
what we can do.
extortion? Could it be? I think it would be interesting to get a point of view from a criminal lawyer.
Yeah, so there is not necessarily a video. We don't necessarily know if there's a sex tape, but I don't know. It
But look,
seems strange. It's a strange story for sure. I don't
think
know,
about
man.
John Jones. Think about John Jones and that whole tape about him at the strip joint. Like this tape never was released, and this whole thing about the stripper and the accusations all went out the door. Like we didn't hear anything. So you know what? Sometimes, people make things up because these guys are celebrities, and and they have money, and people take advantage of that too. So I'm questionable on if this tape really exists.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. It's hard to tell,
Because
I don't know.
think about John Jones. What happened to that tape? We never heard anything about that again. Right?
I don't know.
I don't remember the case exactly.
Well, what
Remember
about
he
John
was in a
Jones?
strip joint?
We saw him there. He was there. Where we never really saw, what he was accused of doing, which was, grabbing a woman and doing all sorts of stuff that she didn't want him to do. We never saw that, and nothing really came of that whole story. But we did see video of John Jones at the strip club at the time, but didn't really prove anything. And here, nothing's really proven as far as Dana White's concerned. Everything is just being alleged by the guy who was, extorting him, trying to extort him.
Look, I don't pass it by Dana that he was at a strip joint and he was spending money. I'm sure he does. He's at casinos all the time. And hand in hand, there's strip joints. But you know what? There's a lot of people out there that want his money. They know his net worth. And you know what? I find it kind of hard to believe that, other people didn't come forward. So, and this has been going on for 5 years, right? So it's not like it just started.
Now, let me just read something for you, because there was an exchange of money at one point. They did catch Ramos. Now, this is from the Las Vegas Review-Journal. I'm pretty sure there was a video. Now, this is from the Las Vegas Review-Journal. The criminal case stemmed from what prosecutors allege was an October 2014 secret overseas. This is prosecutors. So the prosecutors in the extortion case. So this is the state saying that this is what's happened. So I think this actually did happen. A secret overseas rendezvous between an unnamed businessman and an adult nightclub dancer. White at the time was overseeing a UFC event in Brazil, the civil suit states. White, who is married, has been seeing the stripper at Spearmint Rhino for months, paying her large sums of money to dance for him, according to the civil complaint. Okay, so this is according to the complaint now by Ramos trying to sue White. Now, FBI agents arrested Ramos in Las Vegas in January 2015 and charged him with trying to extort $200,000 from Dana White. After the encounter overseas with the dancer, FBI agents videotaped the exchange of the money between him and Ramos during a late-night meeting at the businessman's office, the government alleged. So Dana White was part of an FBI sting. So this guy Ramos went to Dana White's Las Vegas office late at night. The FBI was taping it, and this guy had the video, and Dana gave him the money. So there's a video, guys. Like, this actually did happen. This guy tried to extort Dana, but Dana did. There is a sex tape of Dana White out there somewhere. It's hopefully been destroyed because nobody needs to see that. But let's just say that that actually did happen because, there was an exchange of money, and that's why this guy Ramos went to jail because, the thing happened. The money was exchanged. They had a secret meeting, and Dana White was working for the feds.
I would argue that a lot of fighters that are maybe not in good terms with Dana would want that sex tape to come out so they could have a good laugh at Dana.
Yeah.
Who, Tito Ortiz on your mind?
Oh, there's a long list. There's a long list.
It's a wild story here, guys, but yeah, it does seem like there was a sex tape at some point because if there's an exchange of money and a tape there, something happened there, AJ. So your theory again falls apart.
That kind of changes everything right there. That kind of changes it.
That's right.
Listen, man, things happen. I'm sure
Yes.
Dana's no saint.
Well, obviously, I don't know what kind of arrangement he has, but obviously he's, flying strippers out to Brazil and partying and doing his thing.
You guys have been to Vegas. Like, let's not act like this is not something that would happen often in Vegas.
No, I'm not surprised. I just wonder, where's Dana White's wife in all this? Like, I know he's got a wife, right?
And
like, what is the
forget
deal?
about Vegas. We're in Montreal. This is the type of story that could happen in Montreal.
Sure.
We got our fair share
Look,
of strippers down here also.
This could happen anywhere with millionaire guys and all sorts of things going on. These things happen. We hear about these things happening. But I just wonder, like, what is the deal exactly? And, like Dana White has kids, right? Like, if this is your dad, what are you thinking?
It sucks, man.
Why are you going there, man?
No. I mean,
Why you got to make it about his kids, man?
Well, no. I mean, he's got teenagers. He talks about how he's got teenage boys, and it's hard to keep them in the house right now because everybody's supposed to stay inside, right? So Dana has said that he's got kids. I just wonder, like,
I mean, he's not the first
know.
public figure to be unfaithful, to be like I would be much more
Hashtag
scared for that
Clinton.
guy like in Florida that lost the governor there that got caught in with some male prostitute. Like that's the type of story that's gonna ruin a family.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I
Freddie,
don't know about that
Freddie.
story. I don't know about any of this stuff.
Freddie, what does this look like to you?
Why do you have a cigar,
Cigar.
AJ?
Exactly.
Clinton.
Hashtag president. So
Okay.
things happen all the time, man.
Yeah, things definitely happen. Things happen all the time, and things are going to keep happening here on Ringside Report. Guys, next week we will have no fights to talk about. Hopefully the Dana White sex tape is leaked somehow, and we can talk about that. Maybe we can do a watch-along at some point for that. I don't know what we're going to do, but hopefully,
How about a reenactment?
Yeah, hopefully there's something to talk about in the UFC next week. I'm sure there will be. I'm sure there'll be news as far as UFC 250, what's going to go on there. I was really excited about doing a watch-along for UFC 249 next Saturday night, but that is not going down. There was supposed to be a UFC event on the 25th in Lincoln, Nebraska. Anthony Smith versus Glover Teixeira. That's not happening. It's supposed to be in Oklahoma City on the 2nd of May. Weidman versus Hermanson. I don't think that's happening. UFC May 9th, UFC 250. I'm saying that's not happening. What did you guys say? AJ, you don't think it's happening? You think it's going to happen, Fred?
No.
Here's my
It's not
prediction. Here's my prediction. By June 15th, we have an event.
June 15th. All right. Well, I hope so.
mean, I can agree with Freddie. Like a fight night that's going to take place on this secret island, Fantasy Island. I can see this happening. But to be honest, man, I think as soon as the fights start to get back into motion, we're going to have some amazing cards weekend after weekend till the end of December because they still got to hit their target of about 40 shows. And you know what? The UFC is going to be in a great spot to throw out some amazing fights. And, unfortunately, baseball and all the rest cannot catch up to that because their season is kind of blown.
Yeah, but
soccer, Pre is gone.
There might be
there's so
some
many things that are
traveling
gone.
issues and all that. Like you
There
make
could
it
be.
sound easy, but it won't be that easy. Fighters are all over the globe. There's gonna be some issues.
But when they do
the
start
Fantasy
putting
Island
fights on-
place is supposed to be
Right. Now, when they do start putting fights on, which won't be on Fight Island because that is not going to happen, when they do start putting fights on, I think they're going to start putting them on at a furious pace. Because if you can have a fight and it's cool, well, they're going to have them on Saturday nights. They might have them on Sundays too. They might have them on another day of the week, like a Wednesday night or a Thursday night or who knows. But they're going to have more fights. They're going to be pumping these things out because they're going to try and hit their mark for the end of the year of those 42 events for ESPN. So as soon as the UFC gets the green light and they can start putting on fights, we're going to see these things going on a lot. They're going to have more than once a week, I think. I think it's going to be twice a week, maybe even 3 times a week, depending on when we can get back to business. If it's June, July, maybe once or twice a week. But if it's August, September, we're going to have 2-3 times a week UFC events here, guys. It's going to be a furious pace no matter what. When they come back to business, they're going to have a lot of shows really fast.
Look, and it comes down to this. Endeavor wants their money. Endeavor at the UFC in 2016 for $4 billion. They're going to push out as many fights from now to December. They're going to hit that target of $750 million. That's what's going to happen. The bottom line is they want their money. And the UFC is going to deliver. Dana White's going to pump it all out. By December, they're going to get those 40 fights done. Guaranteed.
Well, I hope you're right, AJ. I hope we get to business soon. I hope we get back to some fights. We are wrapping up the show here. RingsideReport.net is the website. Go there. Check us out. Check out the YouTube channel. Like the video. Subscribe to the channel. And when you do subscribe, click that bell so you get notifications each and every time that we're on. I want to thank everybody for watching the show tonight. Everybody on the Super Chat, Patrick C. Hamilton, Antoinette, Daniel Winston. I'm seeing all of you checking in. It's very much appreciated. I see my man Andy Burrows out in England watching the show live tonight. Johnny North, Woods MMA, a lot of MMA UK, a lot of people out in the UK watching us. Mark Renault, I think from around these parts here in Quebec. It's very much appreciated. Everybody watching the show live on the YouTube channel at RingsideReport.net. Everybody helping out on the Super Chat, on our Stitcher Premium, and IP Vanish as well. Thanks to everybody helping us out on the radio side. Follow AJ at Danny Bruck on Twitter and Instagram. Follow Freddie at Freddie MMA. You could follow me on all the things at Dave Simon MMA. For Freddie and AJ, I'm Dave, and this has been Ringside
Port.